Good morning, dear students. Dear student, you all are familiar that we are going through with our chapter 4, which is factor of production. In this chapter, we already did different topics related to labor, related to land, related to ecosystem, and related to the division of labor. In our previous session, we did division of labor, advantages and disadvantages of division of labor. We also studied about the meaning of capital. In this chapter, we will go through with other points related to the capital. So student, let's start. In our previous session, we study about what is the meaning of capital. You all know that capital means all the goods which consist of tools and instrument, plant, machinery, equipment, truck, factory. All these goods are our capital goods. We already studied about the meaning, and you know about the three essential feature of capital good. Like capital good is defined in the form of physical, okay, or the second point is like capital good is a produced mean of production. It is used for production of a certain another good. It is not free or gifted by nature. It is produced by the man itself only. Third point which we discussed, that capital refers to the stock of capital goods like tool, machinery, plant, etc. Okay, dear student, now today we will do the characteristics of capital. Dear student, all keep in mind that difference of capital and labor is not in your syllabus, and similarly the difference between land and capital is also not in your syllabus, and similarly capital and other related concepts are also not in your syllabus. Okay, so today we will start from characteristics of capital. Dear student, capital is a factor of production different from other factor of production. We all know that we have different factor of production like land, labor, capital, entrepreneur, or these are different factor of production, but the capital is different from the other factor of production. What are the differences? We will discuss it in later on, but today we will discuss about the characteristics of capital. The first is capital is man-made. Okay, you all know that capital is created. It is not a free gift by nature. Capital is a mixture result of past labor of worker working on natural resources. Thus, when human labor is applied to natural resources, then capital items are generated, or capital thus involve cost. Okay, with the help of manpower, with the help of man. Okay, so it simply means capital is a man-made. Like you have plant, you have machinery, you have factories. Okay, you all have tools, equipment, all these are capital goods. Okay, dear students, so capital is man-made. Second is capital is durable. An important characteristics of capital is a durability. Capital goods, example, machinery, plant, factory, building are durable goods. Some capital goods might last for a few years while other might last for decades. So that's why capital is durable. Next point is capital is a passive factor of production. Okay, like land, capital is also a passive factor of production. It cannot produce anything by itself. It becomes effective only when it is used by labor. So that's why it is a passive factor. Okay, passive factor means that the good which is not self-producing, okay, the goods which is used by someone else to produce the another good, it is simply known as passive factor of production. So that's why capital is a passive factor of production. Next is a mobile factor. Capital is the most mobile factor of production. It is easily transferable from one place to another, and also from one occupation to another. That's why it is a mobile factor. Next is supply of capital is elastic. Dear student, the supply of land is fixed, but the supply of capital is elastic. It can be easily increase or decrease because it is man-made. So that's why supply of capital is elastic and supply of land is inelastic, because land is fixed. You cannot increase or decrease the land, but you can increase or decrease the capital. That's why it is elastic in nature. Next is capital is subject to depreciation. This is important point, that whatever capital you are using in your factor of production or in or as a factor of production, so there must be some depreciation in that particular capital. Like you are using plant machinery, so there is wear and tear in plant and machinery. Okay, similarly you are using a factory, okay, there is some construction work in factory, or there is some damages in the factory, so you have to repair them. Okay, you have to maintain them. Similarly you have to replace certain part of the machinery, tools. Okay, so all these have some depreciation. Okay, and in their day by day nature, in their day by day transactions, or in yearly basis. So capital goods is subject to depreciation. Or the last point is capital is the result of past saving. Okay, dear student, capital goods can be produced and increase in stock only after saving money and reinvesting it. Hence capital can be rigidly called the outcome of saving. When you have saving, then only you can do your investment, and when you have saving, then you do your investment. By investing you can produce capital goods. So you can say that capital good is the outcome of saving. This is our last point. Okay, dear student, now let's move to our next point, which is type of capital or classification of capital. What are the different types of capital, how you can classify capital? Dear student, traditionally capital means capital good, all durable goods used in production. Okay, but nowadays the term capital is used in wider sense. Okay, the main type of capital are as following. Okay, these are the different type of capital which we are going to study. You can see this particular flow chart. That type of capital, you have fixed capital and circulating capital. Second one is sunk capital and floating capital. The next one is remunerative and auxiliary capital, and the last one is material and personal capital. Okay, these are four different types of capital, and these are the examples of these capital. So we will do one by one. Okay, first we will start from our first point, which is fixed capital and circulating capital. Dear student, fixed capital or circulating capital, fixed capital is that type of capital which is used again and again for further production of goods. For example, machine, office furniture, factory building, all these are fixed factor which you can use again and again. Okay, like you can use machinery for too many years, you can use furnitures of office for too many years, so that's why it is fixed capital. According to Professor Hicks, has used the term durable use producer, okay, producer goods for fixed capital. Fixed capital, a term used by Professor Hicks, which is known as durable use producer goods. Now next is circulating capital. Dear student, if you talk about circulating capital, then it refers to those goods which are used in production only once. Okay, they are also called a single use producer goods. Always keep in mind that circulating capital means a single use producer goods, like raw material, like fuel, etc. All these are single use producer goods. Suppose in our example, if you wish to produce potato chips, then you have to purchase potato again and again as your raw material. Okay, similarly you have to purchase fuel for the machineries when fuel is empty. Okay, for every day or every week you have to buy these type of goods. So that's why this is known as circulating capital. Next point is sunk capital and floating capital. Dear student, if you talk about sunk capital, it is that type of capital which can only be put to a single use. It is also called as specialized capital. Okay, this type of capital is a specialized capital. It always remain at the place where it is fixed. For example, a printing machine can only be put for printing and nothing else. Okay, like a printing machine, it is a heavy machinery, so that's why it is installed at particular place and used as only the printing work. So that's why it is known as special capital. The investment in that machinery is known as special capital. Next is floating capital. Dear student, if you talk about floating capital, if the capital can be used in alternative lines of production, it is called floating capital. For example, steel is a capital good which can be used in various line of production because different type of machine can be made with steel. So this type of capital is called floating capital, okay, which you can use free. This type of capital is also known as free capital, because you can use this type of capital or raw material in two different forms or in two different things. That's why it is a free capital. Like wood, raw material, electricity, etc. are the other example of floating capital. So all these are floating capital, dear student. Now next is remunerative and auxiliary capital. Dear student, if you talk about remunerating, the payment made to workers for their contribution to production is called remunerative capital. Sometimes it is known as remuneration. Remuneration means when you give salary to your workers, okay, to your employees, then it is known as remunerative capital, dear student. Now auxiliary capital, all man-made goods like machines, equipment, raw material, etc. that help labor in production are called auxiliary capital, okay. Those capital which is used in the production of the new capital, it is simply known as auxiliary capital, or which is useful for the labor, like the equipment, the tool which the labor use, it is simply known as auxiliary capital, okay, dear student. Our next point is material and personal capital. If you talk about material capital, then according to Professor Thomas has distinguished capital into material and personal capital. First is material capital. Material capital consists of those things which are in tangible form. Tangible means which you can touch, which you can see, or which can be transferred from one person to another. Example of material capital are machines, tool. All these are material capital, okay, dear student. Now personal capital comprises all those energies, faculties and habits which contribute to make people efficient. Example of personal capitals are art of singing, art of writing, art of painting. All these are personal capital, okay, which every individual have different personality, and if they every individual have different talent, so according to their talent, according to their personality, their personal capital may be differ, okay, dear student. Next point is real capital, money capital and debt capital, okay, dear student. Now real capital. Real capital refers to the physical stock of goods which are used as input in the production process, okay, like machinery, raw material, okay, you use this type of good, these goods are present in a physical form, that's why it is also known as concrete capital sometime, okay, dear student. Next is money capital. Money capital, you all are familiar that we may use the term money capital or finance capital to describe the capital in terms of money, okay, the capital which you describe in terms of money. Money itself is not a mean of production. However, money can be used for buying capital goods. Okay, you cannot use money as a mean of production, but you can buy the different goods with the help of money, like machinery, raw material, etc. So that's why money capital is also a part of capital. Next is debt capital. Debt capital consists of titles to wealth like shares, debentures, okay, government promissory note, etc. All these are your wealth capital, okay, which creates your wealth, like you have shares, you have debentures, okay, you have some government securities, it means some shares of different governments, you have bonds, government bonds, so is this type of capital is known as debt capital, okay, dear student. Next is production and consumption capital. If you talk about production capital, it means production capital includes all those things which help the labor directly in production, okay, dear student. Example of production capital are raw material, machine, tool, equipment. These are known as production capital, which is useful in production. Similarly, if you talk about consumption capital, then it refers to those capital which is used for direct satisfaction of a worker's want, okay, the capital who directly satisfy a worker wants, it's simply known as consumption capital. It consists of those goods which indirectly help the process of production, like food, cloth of worker. All these are consumption capital, okay, dear student. Next is internal and external capital. This is the also the easiest part, that if you talk about internal capital, the capital which is result of domestic saving in the country, is called internal capital. Such capital is the source within the country, and capital which is imported from abroad is used in the recipient country is called external capital. Okay, so keep in mind that the capital which you have in your own country is called internal capital. The capital which you imported from other countries, it is simply known as external capital. Okay, dear student, our last point is human capital. Okay, human capital is one of the most important part. Like you, children, like you, like us, all we all are human capital. Okay, so human capital is comparatively a new concept. It refers to the stock of people in a country equipped with education, skills, and health. Okay, it is simply known as human capital. Suppose your parents send you in a school for education. They also provide you medical facility, they also provide you other facilities, so can you so that you can become an educated person, or in future you can earn some money with the help of your education, your skills. So that's why you as an individual is a human capital for our country. So okay, so population become human capital when investment is made in form of education and health, which I told you. The process of improvement in human capital is called human capital formation. Okay, dear students, always keep in mind this is human capital formation. Okay, that's it for today. In our next video we will study about capital formation and factors influence capital formation. Okay, dear student, stay safe, stay healthy.